I'm Evan Irani with CBS8. We're still tracking a few scattered showers as we make our way through the day today. Into today and tomorrow, though, we're much drier than what we saw over the last 48 hours. Flood advisory still remains in play. There's one remaining, and that's over the Fashion Valley area, really extending along the San Diego River from the coast through our inland valleys. Before the rain, the San Diego River was at 2.85 feet. Yesterday, it peaked at 12.75 feet, got about a 10-foot gain there. And then currently we're at about 7.4 feet. So starting to see some steady improvements. Rain so far this month, because of yesterday, at 2.08 inches. That takes us to record-breaking territory. It was the wettest January 1st, wettest New Year's Day on record for San Diego, El Cajon, Campo, Lake Cuyamaca. Impressive stuff to see following what's already been a pretty wet bout of weather from Christmas Eve and Christmas Day all the way through now. Afternoon highs are staying on the warmer side of average by a few degrees. 69 degrees is that forecast high as opposed to average of 66. As we head through the next 5 to 7 days, we've got daily opportunities for more scattered showers in the mix. Take a look. As we get to about Saturday night into Sunday, we've got another round of wet weather on the way. Going into Sunday, it does look like that might intensify a bit, and that could carry on over into Monday morning. Tuesday is drying out a bit, but a few sprinkles possible. And then again, Wednesday and Thursday, a few more sprinkles too. So what that means for us is that between this afternoon, Friday, and all the way through about the next 7 days, we have daily ample opportunities for measurable precipitation. The plus side to this, if you're not looking forward to it, is that between now and the middle of next week, our rain totals don't look all that generous. In grand total sense, we have maybe an additional inch on the way, which means if you break it down day by day, there's a good opportunity for us to pick up on a 1/10, maybe 2/10 of an inch for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday maybe. But again, just goes to show that it's a lot less than what we picked up on for the last 48 hours. Those chances for rain start to peak on Sunday, drop down for Monday, climb again by Tuesday, and then drop by Wednesday. One thing that is not changing much, your afternoon highs. Today and tomorrow are a little bit warmer than average, and then we get back down to that average marker. We should have ample breaks for sunshine every day for the weekend into early next week. They're going to be fewer and farther between than what we saw, say, last week at times, but still, nonetheless, those clouds should fracture and give us a bit of that sun. Mountains are still holding on to warmer than normal temperatures too, mainly 50s out there, and that means no snow for our local mountains. In the meantime, get out and enjoy the drier bout of weather here for January 2nd.
Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and well, we're talking about atmospheric rivers. You might be asking yourself, what is an atmospheric river? I'm here to help you. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at that graphic, because what is an atmospheric river? It's not the low pressure system, it's what the low pressure system taps into. So you get a strong enough area of low pressure that taps into an atmospheric river, which is a long band of water vapor in the atmosphere, often referred to as literally a river in the sky, because there's so much moisture that's associated with it. So you have the flow of that moisture that could be thousands of miles in length, hundreds of miles wide, but the big problem with it is the fact that you have this massive swath of moisture that drops large amounts of rainfall in a short period of time. And that's where a lot of the flood concerns come in, because in a lot of situations, it does not give the ground enough time to absorb that heavy rainfall before it does start to move in. So you're talking about relentless rainfall with atmospheric rivers continues to happen, and if you don't have enough time in between systems, or even when a system is happening, when that moisture is coming down, the ground does not necessarily absorb it fast enough. So that's when we talk about flood concerns with atmospheric rivers. It travels across the Pacific Ocean, steered by prevailing winds moving from west to east, warm bands of tropical moisture. As mentioned, it's tapped into by an area of low pressure, sends it in our direction. Now, the odds of our rain chances, they go up when we have atmospheric river events because they have so much moisture associated with them. It's also heavier across the mountains as it lifts. If you could bring me back on cam real quick. And that's because if you think about a river that is flowing, just kind of going along, you put something right there in the middle of it. And for us, especially across Southern California, that's north to south facing mountains. That's going to change the flow. So as a result, you have that flowing water, and then you start to have it lift a little bit more. That's why we have the higher rainfall totals that favor mountains with atmospheric rivers, because of that barrier that it creates. And that could lead to a lot of flood concerns, especially right there along coastal mountain slopes when we are talking about atmospheric river events. Let's go back to the graphic. And so it brings a lot of that moisture in. And when talking about the mountains, we have a tendency to see higher elevation snow. So not necessarily focusing more so on those snow levels that get down to about 2,500 feet, because you need a cold, strong area of low pressure for that to happen. Well, this is what the low pressure system taps into. And as a result, you're talking about warmer moisture. And that's why we have a tendency to see those higher elevation totals or high snow elevation when you're talking about it being that snow level around 10,000 feet. So coming down to maybe about 7,000 to 8,000 feet is what we have a tendency to see more so with atmospheric rivers, unless we get a strong enough low pressure system that moves over us after the atmospheric river that really helps to bring that snow level down. But the big hazard is always the heavy rainfall. And so that leads to concerns of flooding, mudslides, and debris flows, especially when it comes to burn scar areas, areas that have been scorched. The ground has been scorched because of fires that have broken out, brush fires, wildfires. It does not have enough time to absorb that moisture. And so that's when it can cause damage to property and people. And so we focus more so on the flood concerns when it does come to atmospheric rivers. As mentioned, it's so much moisture in a short period of time. Now, the term atmospheric river, a good example, a lot of people know this one, is Pineapple Express. It's a more well-known example and term for an atmospheric river. The difference is with Pineapple Express, it has a tendency to be a little bit more narrow. It's a strong atmospheric river and develops in the tropical Pacific. Now, atmospheric river is a newer term that was coined in the late 1990s. And also talking about atmospheric rivers, it's a little bit different too because it has a scale system very similar to what we would see for a hurricane. So with atmospheric rivers, they have a scale that goes all the way from 1 to 5. So an AR1, AR3, AR5. You're seeing that basically numerical order right there. So our AR1 is a weak atmospheric river. It brings in beneficial rainfall. And of course, when we're talking about Southern California, we always say we could use the rain, we need the rain, especially with drought conditions. So a weak atmospheric river, definitely looking to be beneficial. You have moderate one, it's mostly beneficial, but some of those hazards start to pop up, especially with flood concerns. But once you get into the territory of an AR3 to an AR5, that's when the hazards really start to come in. It's just so strong and so much water all at once that it becomes a hazard when it comes to your property, to your life as well. That's when we have a tendency to get these stronger ones that make their way across the state. A lot of ARs, especially when they're 5s, don't necessarily hold that strength as it makes its way across the state when it gets to Southern California, because we are the southernmost portion of our region. So a lot of times something that could start off as a AR3, a strong atmospheric river, could actually go to be about an AR1 once it gets closer towards us. Just depends on how rapidly it would weaken. So I hope this helps you as we go into our rainy season talking about atmospheric rivers, and hey, maybe educate your friends as well.